Formula One often comes down to fine margins, but some moments rise above the rest. These are not about being in the right place at the right time, they're about judgment, timing and raw ability. This is a look at racing defined by 0% luck and 100% skill.
It was incredible.
Lap 25 of the 2017 Spanish Grand Prix gave us one of Sebastian Vettel's sharpest displays of racecraft in a Ferrari. After pitting early from the lead, he rejoined behind Valtteri Bottas, whose Mercedes had taken damage in first lap contact. Bottas wasn't a threat for the win on pace, but Mercedes had a plan. By keeping him out, they hoped he could delay Vettel just long enough for Lewis Hamilton to close in. Vettel knew time was slipping. He tried around the outside of turn 1, but Bottas held firm. On the next lap, Vettel changed his approach. He threw a fake to the right, then a quick move left, before fully committing to the right again. This time, with 2 wheels on the grass, he made it stick. It was a brilliant pass, but costly. The time lost behind Bottas gave Hamilton the edge, and later in the race, the win.
He's going to have to pretend he's going right.
And Sebastian Vettel goes onto the grass this time. Sebastian Vettel on the inside does manage to get past.
Kimi Raikkonen's opening lap of the 2020 Portuguese Grand Prix was classic Kimi. Starting 16th, he carved through the pack with sharp instincts and perfect timing, gaining 10 places before the first lap was done. It was one of those moments where everything aligned, tyre grip, positioning, and that calm awareness he's always had. At one point, he was running as high as 5th, later admitting he found himself wondering what were the others doing. The momentum didn't last. A messy pit stop dropped him to the back, and worn tyres late in the race left him just outside the points in 11th. Still, that first lap was a reminder why Raikkonen has always stood out. No fuss, no drama, just pure execution. It didn't add to his points tally, but it was a flash of the old magic, the kind of moment that reminds you why he lasted so long in the sport. Carlos Sainz's late race tactics in Singapore 2023 showed a different kind of racecraft. With the Mercedes pair closing in fast on fresher tyres, Sainz made a deliberate choice: keep Lando Norris within DRS range. It wasn't about teamwork, just smart strategy. By helping Norris stay ahead of Russell, Sainz protected his own position without having to defend directly. It was a calculated risk. Slowing down while leading a race is counterintuitive, especially with pressure building from behind. But Sainz had been thinking about this kind of move for a while and trusted the timing. He admitted it could have backfired, but in that moment, it was the best way to hold track position. Norris later confirmed he wasn't planning to attack. His focus was on holding second, and the DRS made that possible.
Carlos Sainz knows that he needs the help of Lando Norris. He has deliberately given Lando Norris DRS to try and increase the McLaren speed.
If Sainz wins this race, this will be one of the most brilliant victories that I can remember.
Carlos Sainz, tactical brilliance. Carlos Sainz, the winner of the Singapore Grand Prix.
During the early laps of the 2016 Chinese Grand Prix, a safety car triggered the usual flurry into the pit lane, but not everyone treated it with the same urgency. With Sergio Perez already stopped in the Force India pit box, his teammate Nico Hülkenberg took his time easing down the pit entry. Right behind him, Sebastian Vettel wasn't feeling quite as patient. As cars began queuing, including Carlos Sainz in the Toro Rosso, Vettel made a snap decision. Rather than waiting in line, he cut halfway onto the grass, overtaking both cars before rejoining the lane. After the race, he shrugged it off, saying, "We're free to race in the pit entry, but it looks like I was the only one to remember." It was a rare moment of improvisation, classic Vettel, thinking fast and not afraid to act.
It's Piccadilly Circus, the pit lane. I love this. I love that. Vettel, okay, he's slow. I can pass them. My brain is engaged.
Lewis Hamilton's triple overtake in Bahrain 2018 was one of the most memorable moves of that season. After a grid penalty dropped him to 9th, he lost a place at the start but quickly began recovering. By lap 5, he found himself behind Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg as they bunched up heading into turn 1. Instead of waiting for a clear chance on each, Hamilton committed to passing all 3 in one move. He took the inside line under braking and made it stick, cleanly overtaking the group in a single flowing maneuver. It was precise, opportunistic, and executed without hesitation. After the race, he admitted even he hadn't planned it that way. He would go on to finish 3rd, but the overtake was the moment that defined his race.
Of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton down the inside on Nico Hülkenberg. Ocon might lose out to Fernando Alonso. Hamilton makes up places ahead of Hülkenberg, ahead of Alonso, and then comes the Force India.
Hungary 1986 gave us one of the most iconic overtakes in Formula One history. Nelson Piquet and Ayrton Senna, two of Brazil's finest, were locked in a tense battle on a track not known for passing opportunities. Senna, leading in his black and gold Lotus, defended hard into turn 1, forcing Piquet to try the long way around. What followed was remarkable. With sparks flying and barely a car's width between him and the grass, Piquet threw his Williams around the outside under braking. He locked the right rear, slid wide, and for a moment it looked like he overcooked it. But somehow he caught the slide, gathered the car, and swept across Senna's nose to seal the move. It was bold, precise, and right on the edge. Senna fought hard but couldn't match the Williams straight line speed. From that point on, Piquet pulled away and took the win. The overtake, though, is what everyone remembers.
The only other thing he can do is if he makes contact or allows Senna to make contact with him. Senna, you see, moving to the right, making it hard, and Nelson's got round the outside of it. Oh! Big slide from Nelson and nearly contact.
Oscar Piastri's move on Lando Norris at the start of the 2024 Italian Grand Prix was sharp, clean, and stirred plenty of debate. With McLaren starting from the front row, they had a clear chance to manage the race. But into turn 4, Piastri made a bold decision. He braked later, went around the outside, and claimed the inside line through the second part of the chicane. Norris was pushed slightly off his ideal line and also lost a place to Charles Leclerc, who went on to win the race. Afterwards, Norris made it clear he was not thrilled. He felt the move was too close for comfort and that one small misjudgment could have ended both their races. Piastri saw it differently. From his perspective, it was a clean, confident pass. There was no contact and no team orders to stop them. Just two drivers going racing, and a reminder that even teammates have their limits.
And Oscar Piastri's going all the way around the outside to take the lead with a bold and brilliant move. Lando still can't keep the lead on lap number 1, and he's lost second place to Charles Leclerc.
I can't believe what I've just seen.
Max Verstappen's first lap move in Mexico 2021 was a perfect blend of precision, confidence, and timing. Starting third behind a Mercedes front row lockout, the odds were stacked against him. But the long run down to turn 1 at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez offered a chance, and Verstappen made full use of it. As Bottas led the field off the line with Hamilton tucked inside, Verstappen picked up the toe from the Mercedes pair. Bottas stayed in the middle of the track, leaving the outside wide open. Verstappen didn't hesitate. He moved to the left, placed his car on the cleaner racing line, and braked much later than either Mercedes into the first corner. With full control and confidence under braking, he swept around the outside to take the lead before they even reached turn 2. It was a clinical move that set the tone for the race. From there, Verstappen never looked back.
Outside, they're 3 abreast at the moment, and there's 3 abreast behind them. Into turn 1 we go. Verstappen is into the lead, ahead of Hamilton.
Michael Schumacher's drive at the 1995 Belgian Grand Prix stands as one of his most remarkable performances. Starting 16th on the grid after a challenging qualifying session, he faced a long afternoon ahead. As the race unfolded, a mix of dry and wet conditions turned it into a test of judgment and adaptability. When rain arrived mid-race, Damon Hill pitted for wet tyres while Schumacher stayed out on slicks. For several laps, Hill was closing at a rate of seconds per lap, yet Schumacher managed to keep him behind with bold and sometimes controversial defending. Even as his car slid through the corners, he placed it exactly where it needed to be. Hill eventually got through, but the track began to dry and Schumacher reclaimed the lead once Hill stopped again. After a brief safety car period and a final stop for wet tyres, Schumacher rejoined just ahead and maintained his advantage to the flag. It was a gritty, clever drive that helped shape his legacy.
Damon Hill has now taken because Schumacher still decides it is quick enough to stay on slicks. Hill goes down the inside. Oh, they're side by side still.
Schumacher takes Hill right over to the curb in his efforts to stay in front.
Late in the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, as the rain returned and the track grew treacherous, Fernando Alonso faced a moment that nearly ended his title fight. Exiting turn 3, with the championship still within reach, he hit a damp patch and the Ferrari snapped violently. For a second, it looked like he was gone. The car twitched hard toward the wall, but Alonso caught the slide with razor-sharp reflexes, just managing to keep it out of the barriers. It wasn't dramatic in the standings, but in that moment, the championship hung by a thread.
Fernando Alonso up into the podium places, but as the light, damp drizzle comes down, Alonso squirming. Oh, he's made a miraculous save to keep that car on the road.
The 2020 British Grand Prix ended with one of the most dramatic final laps in recent memory. Lewis Hamilton had led from the start and looked set for a comfortable win, until disaster struck with just over a lap to go. His front left tyre began to deflate heading into turn 7, and soon it was shredding itself from the rim. With Max Verstappen chasing hard and cutting the gap from 30 seconds to under 6, Hamilton had to nurse the car through the final sector on 3 working wheels. Sparks flew as the bare rim scraped the track, yet he somehow kept control. Crossing the line with Verstappen just behind, Hamilton didn't even realise the race was over, asking if another lap remained. He had just done enough. It was a chaotic finish to an otherwise dominant drive, and a reminder that in Formula 1, nothing is won until the flag falls.
Through the fail chicane, look how difficult it was to stop. But for Lewis Hamilton, the checkered flag will come in the nick of time for a 7th British Grand Prix victory. For the most wins at home, it's Lewis Hamilton who takes the race.
Mika Hakkinen's overtake on Michael Schumacher at Spa in 2000 is still considered one of the most iconic passes in Formula 1 history. Late in the race, Hakkinen had closed the gap after an earlier mistake and was pushing hard. On lap 41, with both drivers catching Ricardo Zonta's BAR on the Kemmel Straight, the moment arrived. Schumacher moved left to pass Zonta, but Hakkinen had read it perfectly. He darted right, using the inside lane into Les Combes to slip past both cars in one move. It was decisive, clean and daring at over 300 kilometers per hour.
Michael's having to defend, and Mika, and the back marker's in the way. Can he do it? Yes, he's done it. A brilliant move there, either side of Zonta, and Hakkinen brilliantly takes the lead.
Ayrton Senna's first lap at Donington Park at the 1993 European Grand Prix is widely regarded as one of the greatest opening laps in Formula 1 history. Starting 4th on a damp and slippery track, Senna was immediately swamped off the line, dropping to 5th. But within a single lap, he carved through the field with remarkable skill and control. He passed Schumacher at turn 1, then went around the outside of Wendlinger through the Craner curves. Next was Damon Hill, caught on the inside at McLean's. Finally, at the Melbourne hairpin, he slipped past Prost to take the lead. The track was slick, grip was unpredictable, and rivals were cautious. Senna wasn't. In under 90 seconds, he read the conditions better than anyone, trusting his feel and reacting instinctively. That lap wasn't just fast, it was pure racecraft and a masterclass in wet weather driving.
Ayrton Senna, tremendous stuff. He muscled his way back into the contention at Redgate. He's going inside Damon Hill. And Senna into second place already. And he's giving it absolutely everything in the wet part of the race.
Lewis Hamilton's performance at the 2021 Brazilian Grand Prix was one of the most complete drives of his career. It started with a setback. Disqualified from qualifying due to a minor DRS infringement, he began the sprint race from last. In just 24 laps, he climbed to 5th, setting the stage for what would follow. A further grid penalty for a new engine meant he started Sunday's race from 10th. From the lights out, Hamilton was relentless. By the end of the first lap, he had already passed 4 cars. Within a few more laps, the Ferraris were dispatched and Valtteri Bottas moved aside to let him through. Now only the Red Bulls remained. He got past Sergio Perez after a tight duel and then closed in on Max Verstappen. Their battle peaked when Verstappen forced him wide at turn 4, but Hamilton regrouped and a few laps later made the move stick down the same straight. He went on to win by 10 seconds. Across 2 days and 2 races, Hamilton passed a total of 25 cars. It was a stunning reminder of why he's one of the sport's greats.
It is third time lucky for Lewis Hamilton. He was 20th and last on the grid for the sprint. Here on lap 59 of the Grand Prix, he has gone from last all the way to first.
Kimi Raikkonen's victory at the 2005 Japanese Grand Prix was one of the greatest comeback drives in Formula 1 history, capped by a stunning final lap overtake on Giancarlo Fisichella. Starting 17th after a rain-affected qualifying, Raikkonen spent the race slicing through the field in a supremely quick McLaren. Fisichella had led much of the race and looked set for victory, but Raikkonen never gave up. As the laps ticked down, he hunted the Renault driver relentlessly, closing the gap corner by corner. By the start of the final lap, he was within striking distance. Into turn 1, Raikkonen moved to the outside and braked later than Fisichella, sweeping around him in a move that was as clean as it was decisive. It was bold, aggressive and perfectly timed. Fisichella could do nothing to defend. That pass sealed an incredible win from 17th on the grid, Raikkonen's 7th of the season. Although the driver's title was already out of reach, it was a performance that reminded everyone just how fast and fearless Kimi could be.
Has he got enough traction to keep the McLaren behind him? He's really left himself to be a sitting target now. He'll have to go defensive down the inside. He'll have to go tighter than that. Oh, and they nearly touched. Can Raikkonen sweep in? Yes, he can.
Max Verstappen's drive at the 2016 Brazilian Grand Prix was a defining moment early in his Formula One career. On a soaked and treacherous Interlagos circuit, the 19-year-old put on a masterclass in car control, tyre management and sheer determination. The standout moment came on lap 38 when his car snapped violently left on the main straight, heading straight for the wall. Somehow, Verstappen caught the slide, avoided disaster and kept going in second place. Later, a mistimed switch to intermediate tyres dropped him down the order, but what followed was remarkable. Verstappen stormed back from outside the top 10, carving his way through the field with bold overtakes in places few others dared try. He used wet patches others avoided to find grip, taking unorthodox lines that paid off. By the time the checkered flag fell, Verstappen had recovered to third. He was named driver of the day and praised across the paddock. That race showed not just his raw speed, but the composure and instinct that would define his rise to the top. After a chaotic start saw him spun around by Charles Leclerc in turn 4, Perez found himself dead last at the end of the first lap. From there, he began a relentless charge through the field. Benefiting from the blistering pace of the racing point and a calm, calculated strategy, Perez picked off rivals one by one. As the race unfolded, he climbed into podium contention, aided further by a disastrous double pit stop error from Mercedes, which took both George Russell and Valtteri Bottas out of the lead fight. When Russell was forced to pit again due to a puncture, Perez inherited the lead and controlled the final laps with composure. He crossed the line to take his maiden Formula One victory in his 190th start, becoming the first Mexican driver to win since Pedro Rodriguez in 1970.
This is a magical moment in the incredible career of Sergio Perez, who has been on the podium 9 times before, but never on the top step. This is really happening!
Michael Schumacher took pole position for the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix with a stunning lap of 1 minute 20.356 seconds. He set the time in the final moments of the session, beating Damon Hill by half a second and edging out Jean Alesi. The lap was widely praised as a display of pure driver skill on a circuit where precision is everything. However, Schumacher later caused controversy by cruising slowly on the racing line while Gerhard Berger was on a flying lap. Berger spun to avoid a collision, but no penalty was given. The incident added drama to an already intense qualifying session.
Can Michael Schumacher make the most of the fact that the final part of the circuit seems quicker than earlier on?
Or will it be an improvement? Yes, it is! Schumacher by over half a second. Look at Jean-Todd's face. He is delirious.
Lewis Hamilton pulled off one of the most jaw-dropping qualifying laps in F1 at the 2018 Singapore Grand Prix. On a tricky, unforgiving street circuit, he hooked up a stunning 1 minute and 36.015 seconds lap that left the field reeling. Max Verstappen was 0.3 back, Sebastian Vettel over 6. Every corner looked on edge but controlled as Hamilton wrung everything from the car without a single misstep. Even Mercedes engineers seemed amazed. Hamilton called it magical and said it just flowed perfectly from start to finish. In a session where Ferrari was expected to dominate, he flipped the script in spectacular style.
Hamilton crosses the line of 1:36.0. Wow, was that fast! And Lewis Hamilton, for a 4th time and a 4th record equaling time, takes pole here in Singapore.
You done it, mate. That was an epic first lap. Jeez.
Michael Schumacher's drive at the 1994 Spanish Grand Prix is still remembered as one of the most remarkable displays of skill and grit in Formula One. After starting from pole, he suffered a gearbox failure just before mid-race that left his Benetton stuck in 5th gear. Despite this massive setback, he didn't retire. Instead, Schumacher adapted his driving style on the fly, nursing the car through slow corners and even managing 2 pit stops without stalling. He finished second behind Damon Hill, losing minimal ground in the championship.
It was a bit difficult to run with this 5th gear through all the corners, but then I managed to find a good line and keep up the lap times. I'm still very happy to get these points. 2nd position, I mean, under these circumstances, I feel not unhappy at all.
Now, each of these moments show what Formula One is truly about. Not chance or coincidence, but instinct, execution and nerve. When conditions are tough and the stakes are high, only the most skilled shine through. These drivers didn't wait for fortune to favour them. They created their own success with sharp moves, fearless decisions and relentless focus. This is the heart of the sport at its best. No luck involved, just pure racing craft. Now, this has been Racers Reverie, and we'll see you in the next one.